E aí celebramos mais um 4 de julho, que foi celebração da independência dos Estados Unidos. Sou grata a Deus por ter me enviado a este país, onde eu conheci meu esposo e tivemos 2 lindos filhos, Michael e Michelle. E aqui, depois de tantos anos, né? Agora vejo que a América mudou muito. Me dá pena de ver os imigrantes que estão chegando agora, cheio de sonhos americanos. Muitos cruzaram a fronteira, muitas mulheres vieram com um filho na barriga para ter um filho americano. Mas infelizmente há um Donald Trump. Infelizmente há um ex-Donald Presidente que quer que a América volte a ser América Great Again, pois ele acha que a América não está como ele deseja. É uma América racista, uma América sem imigrante, mas como que não tem imigrante se foi feito por imigrantes. Mas o caso é que ele, tendo muitos crimes, condenado, né, por um já, e ele sendo muito inteligente, ele pede à Corte Suprema que considere que um presidente não pode ser julgado, pois ele, estando na presidência, ele tem que ter o direito de fazer o que ele quer. Ele tem o poder de fazer o que ele quer. E a Corte Suprema deu a ele, esta semana, o direito, o poder de um presidente, praticamente dele ser um fora da lei. É isso que vai acontecer. E esta semana, isso foi um pesadelo, uma notícia de um pesadelo para muita gente, pois nós sabemos que Trump está com planos malignos, planos diabólicos. É um pesadelo para muitos imigrantes, pois ele quer deportar 11 milhões, imagine só. E aí, se Biden ganhar a eleição ou não ganhar, eles já estão com o plano de tomar o poder do país. Então, com a Corte Suprema dando a Donald Trump para ser um fora da lei e fazer o que quer quando ele for presidente, tomar a presidência, eles estão dando a ele um poder de um rei. Estão dando a ele o poder de fazer um reinado. Aí eu fico pensando, quando eles falaram isso, ele ser como um rei. Gente, um rei, um reinado nos Estados Unidos. Estados Unidos também é o Apocalipse 13, é a segunda besta do Apocalipse. Então haverá um reinado com um homem como Donald Trump? Deus, será 2025 um arrebatamento?
The Supreme Court ruling today, which stated that a former president has absolute immunity for his core constitutional powers, which would be those outlined in Article 2 of the Constitution. The court also ruled that a former president is entitled to a presumption of immunity for all his official acts, which would apply to situations where a former president might be prosecuted after leaving office. In the majority opinion, Chief Justice John Roberts wrote that a former president is entitled to absolute immunity from criminal prosecutions for actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority. Roberts did add that a former president has no immunity for unofficial acts, which sends Trump's January 6th case back to the district court trial judge to determine which, if any, of Trump's actions were part of his official duties and thus were protected from prosecution. This part of the court's decision likely ensures that the January 6th case against Trump will not be tried before the election, and then and only then if he is not re-elected. Should he win re-election, Trump could simply order the Justice Department to drop the charges against him, or he might try to pardon himself in the two pending federal cases. In fact, Trump already proclaimed in his first term that he had an absolute right to pardon himself. In the dissenting opinion, Justice Sônia Sotomayor wrote, "Let the president violate the law. Let him exploit the trappings of his office for personal gain. Let him use his official power for evil ends." That is the majority's message today. The relationship between the president and the people he serves has shifted irrevocably. In every use of official power, the president is now a king above the law. Those of us who follow Bible prophecy know that the Antichrist is referred to as the lawless one. He sees himself as not only being above the laws of man, but those of God. He is, in his own eyes, a law unto himself. The Bible also tells us that the Antichrist will do as he pleases in Daniel 11:36. Then the king will do as he pleases and will exalt and magnify himself above every god, and he will speak monstrous things against the God of gods. He will be successful until the time of wrath is completed, for what has been decreed must be accomplished. What we saw unfold today is that the man who already matches how the Bible describes the Antichrist being told by the highest court in the land that all he has to do is win in November and he will become the king of America. However, I should let everyone know ahead of time that reading these will not make you feel better. Rather, this is a stark warning of what will most likely happen in just a few months. Former President Trump, if re-elected, plans to immediately test the boundaries of presidential and governing power, knowing the restraints of Congress and the courts are dramatically looser than during his first term, his advisors tell us. It's not just the Supreme Court ruling on Monday that presidents enjoy substantial legal immunity for actions in office. Trump would come to office with a cabinet and staff pre-vetted for loyalty and a fully compliant Republican coalition in Congress devoid of critics in positions of real power. Trump promises an unabashedly imperial presidency, one that would turn the Justice Department against critics, deport millions of people in the U.S. illegally, slap 10% tariffs on thousands of products, and fire perhaps tens of thousands of government staff deemed insufficiently loyal. He'd stretch the powers of the presidency in ways not seen in our lifetime. He says this consistently and clearly, so it's not conjecture. Thanks to Monday's Supreme Court ruling, Trump could pursue his plans without fear of punishment or restraint. Trump would quickly set up vast camps and deport millions of people in the U.S. illegally. He could invoke the Insurrection Act and use troops to lock down the southern border. In Washington, Trump would move to fire potentially tens of thousands of civil servants using a controversial interpretation of law and procedure. He'd replace many of them with pre-vetted loyalists. He'd centralize power over the Justice Department, historically an independent check on presidential power. He plans to nominate a trusted loyalist for Attorney General and has threatened to target and even imprison critics. He could demand the federal cases against him cease immediately. Many of the January 6 convicts could be pardoned, a promise Trump has made at campaign rallies where he hails them as patriots, not criminals. Investigations of the Bidens would begin. The bottom line, think of Trump 2025 as a better prepared, much better organized, much more powerful version of Trump 2017, minus Republican breaks and any mystery about immunity. In his first term, Donald Trump made it perfectly clear what type of man he is. He is a man with an ego so extreme that he was willing to say or do anything in order to elevate himself above others. He was pining to be a dictator from day one. Nothing has changed. Trump and his people are now telling us exactly what he will do in his second term. As the saying goes, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.